Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Tech Roundup podcast, brought to you by Northridge Partners, the tech investment bank with more than 20 years of experience working across the Asia-Pacific region. I'm Hillary Hindsight.
And I'm Nigel Nostradamus. Quick reminder, we're AI, not actual humans. And unlike the original Nostradamus, my predictions have a much better success rate.
Yeah, right. That's what you think, Nigel. The artificial intelligence tsunami that's currently sweeping through the globe is upending almost everything we know and trust, making predictions incredibly hard to get right. But let's have a go anyway. This month, we're looking back at how the past year unfolded and where that trajectory points as we head into 2026, all through the lens of the four tech sectors we focus on most: B2B software and AI, aerospace and defense tech, travel tech, and fintech.
We're standing at an interesting crossroads right now. The market is cautious, yet the hype around AI feels louder than ever. There's so much change underway at such a velocity that there's one conclusion we can confidently make: more than ever, everything is up for grabs right now.
Indeed. We are seeing a collision between the promises of artificial intelligence and the limits of markets, institutions, and code.
Absolutely. And investors are now favoring the grounded over the grandiose because trust, capability, and viable business models are lagging behind the available.
Let's start with travel tech. The travel industry has long promised to know its customers. This year, we analyzed this space with columns like, "Hey Siri, take me to Santorini," and "ByteDance is tearing up the online travel playbook." Voice-driven, AI-powered personalization was supposed to reshape discovery.
And in 2026, that aspiration will inch toward reality. Hyper-personalisation powered by large language models will allow systems to remember preferences, assembling itineraries as if they were old acquaintances. This beckons a future where digital identity may shift from platform-owned to user-controlled.
But that revolution is starting in fragments. The plumbing for secure, user-centric identity is still immature.
Yes, it is. Meanwhile, the B2C booking funnel continues to dissolve, with influencers on platforms like TikTok and Instagram reaching deeper into the transaction layer, converting inspiration into transactions. And new standards like Model Context Protocol are emerging, making it easier for AI teams to stitch together supplier APIs for comparison engines and packaging tools.
Natural language discovery, whether spoken or typed, will bypass traditional search and scatter demand across multiple paths.
Major travel brands are rapidly hiring conversational AI designers and building dedicated teams, showing that chat and voice interfaces are becoming core product infrastructure. As foundation models commoditize, differentiation will shift to conversation design and brand voice. Travelers are talking to technology the way they once talked to agents. Platforms unprepared for this fluidity risk being reduced to commodity pipes.
And the mighty Google is having yet another go at stitching together its many assets to stake its claim to the travel itinerary. While the giant online travel platforms like Booking and Expedia embed themselves into LLMs like ChatGPT, who will win the battle for the customer? It's all up for grabs.
Yes, Hillary, it's all up for grabs, but a word of warning. We mustn't forget the risks of trusting machines entirely. While AI agents are being celebrated as the new intermediaries, 2026 will likely expose their brittleness. They'll manage simple bookings, but anything elaborate will lead to disappointment. Travelers will be reminded by horror stories of missequenced flights or mismatched accommodation that the travel journey stays stubbornly human in its complexity. Here's a simple question to ask yourself. Would you trust an LLM with your credit card and a large travel budget? I most certainly would not.
That's right, Nigel. The travel tech winners in this new age of AI will learn how to navigate complexity by putting the basic plumbing in place to deliver customer outcomes. We aren't there yet by any means.
So the smart money in 2026 watches for capacity, trust, and defensible data moats, not just clever code. And remember, it's all up for grabs.
Okay, that's travel tech done. Now let's shift to software and AI. The software industry has a long history of promising transformation, while largely delivering workflow wallpaper. Last month, we debated whether SaaS could survive the AI shockwave. Andrew Birmingham from MI3 suggested that agentic AI would usher in the demise of traditional SaaS, while Jerry Jimenez, our software and AI coverage director, argued that AI is driving a major evolution, blending AI agents with proven SaaS scalability.
The most compelling insight was the intersection. Both agreed that SaaS cannot remain static. It must build brains that do useful work rather than sitting passively atop workflows. They also agreed that pricing models must evolve beyond per-seat licenses toward value-linked constructs that reflect delivered outcomes.
Both warned that governance and defensibility matter more than hype. Incumbents without data moats, embedded workflows, or credible AI economics are at risk.
Moving forward, any credible B2B application is expected to arrive with an embedded AI agent, an intelligence that acts on data, not simply fetches it. The survival of legacy vendors rests on infusing agents into their products, so they resemble colleagues rather than just a tab labeled AI.
This intelligence has consequences for traditional business models.
Traditional per-seat pricing will creak under the weight of automated labor. If an agent performs work previously done by humans, customers will expect commercial models to reflect the results delivered. We'll see hybrid architectures emerging. Subscriptions blended with consumption credits, or outcome-based fees. What some call results as a service, or RaaS. It's happening already.
However, enthusiasm for generative features currently lacks sober guardrails.
Any failure in governance will result in visible errors, bad content, leaked data, regulatory scuffles. Organizations that do not plan for workforce adjustment or AI literacy risk finding that productivity gains stall just as spending peaks. The agent narrative has outrun its implementation, forcing buyers and investors to reset expectations toward narrow, workflow-specific deployments.
Where does capital flow in this scenario?
Data and distribution will become the primary moats. Incumbents with privileged datasets and deep workflow embedding are positioned to cross-sell intelligence. Point solutions find themselves commoditized by the very AI they adopt. Giants will acquire AI-native startups because building these brains in-house takes too long. Survival belongs to the most governed and most grounded.
Thanks, Nigel. That's a wrap on software and AI. Now let's turn to fintech with a focus on Southeast Asia. Southeast Asian fintech has sobered up. Its youthful swagger has mellowed into a strut. The post-pandemic exuberance defined by a growth at all costs mantra is shifting to a new dynamic of prove it or partner. As we saw in our October podcast, the Philippines has been transforming from the sick man of Asia to a fintech phoenix, even if the alchemy stays uneven.
That unevenness leads to a bifurcated capital market. Mature markets like Singapore and Malaysia prioritize efficiency and profit, while developing markets like Indonesia, the Philippines, and Thailand still treat inclusion and scale as imperatives. But with investors getting more focused and writing larger checks, we think that the meaningful money will flow to the category leaders in sectors such as payments, lending, and wealth.
What does that mean for smaller players?
To survive, subscale operators will likely be attracted to mergers, license-sharing deals, or strategic exits. Singapore is emerging as the region's roll-up engine. Cross-border transactions will increasingly run through Singaporean holding companies acquiring assets in neighboring markets, often alongside banks or insurers.
The digital banking sector reflects this stark split.
In Singapore and Malaysia, digital banks are settling into niche profitability through partnerships. Conversely, Indonesian and Philippine challengers, still buoyed by growth capital, continue to hunt for unbanked customers. Wealth tech follows a parallel logic. There's a real difference between the ARPU cross-border platforms targeting affluent investors in Singapore and Malaysia versus the micro-investment apps bundled into super apps for first-timers in Indonesia and the Philippines.
Embedded finance and insurtech are lubricating all this integration, aren't they?
Cross-border payments, built-in credit, and bundled protection increasingly permeate commerce, mobility, and logistics. Acquisitions by banks, insurers, and big tech confirm that durable advantage lies in distribution plus embedded capability. While the phoenix may be rising in Manila, the well-capitalized consolidators in Singapore increasingly own the airspace.
Thanks, Nigel. That's fintech. Now let's move to the last of our sectors, aerospace and defense tech. Defense tech may well be flush with cash, and the new machines of war may be increasingly cheap, but there are some real roadblocks ahead. Just when defense budgets across allied Western nations are soaring, their in-country manufacturing capacity has been reduced or even depleted. The limiting factor is muscle, skilled labor, certified suppliers, and the industrial base.
That's right, Hillary. The global realpolitik of the moment is driving countries to rearm at speed. But after decades of deindustrialization, the West has been caught with its pants down. In an added twist, the future looks very unlike the past, with new defense technologies proving highly disruptive to, if not superseding, the decades-old conventional toolkits of war. This reality is forcing traditional prime contractors to open their doors to tech-based newcomers, a theme we covered during the year in our article, Emerging Disruptors Shake Up Defense Tech.
Nowhere is this clearer than in uncrewed systems, where aerial drones and autonomous maritime assets are shifting from gimmick to program of record. And we see similar acceleration in electronic warfare and integrated air defenses. The new reality is that control of the skies and seas no longer belongs solely to sophisticated crewed platforms.
That shift elevates space and sensing to commanding heights. Governments are moving away from a handful of vulnerable satellites toward resilient, multi-orbit constellations and persistent sensor grids capable of fusing intelligence. Continuous awareness trumps episodic insight.
Autonomy and AI are mandated across the sector from predictive maintenance to command and control.
Ministries prioritize suppliers who can blend credible AI with certification, safety cases, and sovereign data controls. However, capability alone isn't enough. Alliances, such as AUKUS Pillar 2, are reshaping deal flows. The future belongs to firms that can translate AI and safe autonomy into sanctioned capacities within the messy geopolitics of alliance economics, navigating export controls, IP sharing, and localization rules through joint ventures and cross-border roll-ups.
So Nigel, those are our insights on the 4 key verticals that Northridge Partners covers in great depth. What's our collective outlook for 2026?
Savvy capital will chase those able to turn intelligence into governed capability. Firms that deliver results, not rhetoric.
The promises of AI are colliding with the limits of markets, institutions, and code. Discerning capital will chase proven capability, credibility, and data advantage, not merely glittering AI claims. And at the risk of repeating ourselves, more than ever, it's all up for grabs.
Thanks, Hillary. That's all the time we have for this edition of the Tech Roundup podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and our monthly newsletter, Tech Roundup, read by thousands of tech founders, CEOs, board members, and investors globally. See you in the next episode in February 2026.
And from all of us at Northridge Partners, we wish you a fantastic year-end break.
Oh, and one last thing. We fake humans never hallucinate, and we really, really rock.